The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
and so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
It's a huge burden lifted financially, and so it allows you to give singular focus to your child. I've never known a hospital that takes care of their patients so thoroughly.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When they told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow. They pretty much have saved us.
It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders, and now your focus is supporting this child.
There is not another hospital like St. Jude. The patient care is unmatchable. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. And a good Monday morning to you, one and all of you liberty lovers and ecclesiastites all across the globe. Here it is, Monday, September number 11 in the year of our Lord 2017. Call-in number this morning, the call-in hotline is 603-835-3226. I know that there's a number of big issues going on today, not the least of which is the Hurricane Irma flop. Now, folks, don't get mad at me. I'm not the one that's really calling Irma a flop here. They really are. They expected the storm of the century. They expected the storm of the century, and they didn't get it. So, I had this conversation with a friend of mine just when Irma was starting to hit, and how it was being downgraded from Category 5. It was down to Category 3, and it was just trying to get back to Category 4. I'm not sure if it made it or not. It tracked west, the western coast of Florida. So they were expecting it and telling everybody this was going to be the biggest storm ever. It was going to be a monster Cat 5 that was going to hit every major city in Florida. It was just going to bring on death. In fact, there was an ABC report that said America is about to be destroyed by Irma. I kid you not, there was a type. That was the title from ABC News. Oh, as if Florida was the only state in the country. But in any case, it is also 9/11. Today is the commemorative day for 9/11, which is, for those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Rio Linda, September 11th, 2001. And, I'm not one who's into these kinds of anniversaries all the time. I think we as Americans, now I don't know if this is true of other nations or cultures, but I think we as Americans, we tend to over-memorialize stuff. We do. And you just drive down the highway here in New Hampshire in some highways, and there are memorials to where people have had automobile crash. Nobody died. But there's a mini little memorial there with flowers and a cross of a previous car accident. I think we over-memorialize stuff. Now, with that said, I fully understand why we memorialize the events of 9/11. The problem is that I think we've seen, even though we're memorializing it, I think we're forgetting about it. Now, what do I mean by that? Because we elect a bunch of politicians who seem to forget the fact what caused 9/11. What caused it? Well, it was a bunch of people who wanted to destroy the West. Not just America, but the West, the Western world. And they're doing that right now in many European countries because they're allowing them to do it because Europe doesn't remember 9/11. But to a certain degree, neither do we. We like to think that we do, and we all like to, put on our airs and act all somber, and let's have some silence, a moment of silence for all the victims of 9/11, and remember the first responders who died, and all the people who died who were never found, and only pieces of bone were. It really kind of disgusts me, to tell you the truth. It really does, because on one hand, we're talking about how terrible the day was, all the people that died in New York and Pennsylvania and in D.C., and all the potential that could have happened if George W. Bush hadn't grounded every freaking aircraft in the sky. Oh, yeah, he's a bad president, too, by the way, because, he was too chicken to go back to the White House. At that time, we didn't know where he was. He was chicken. It makes me want to slap people who say that. It's the dumbest thing you could possibly say. But we seem to have forgotten. I'm sorry, but I'm going to tell the truth. If you listen to this program, I always tell the truth, even if it's very uncomfortable. We've become a nation of hypocrites. And we make it very easy to be hypocritical. Because today, everybody will walk around and be real somber and say, oh, yeah, I remember 9/11. Let's have a moment of silence and all that kind of BS and all that jazz. And then tomorrow morning, we're going to wake up, and anybody who's in politics who stands for a firm response against terror, who stands for a firm policy against refugees without vetting, and think about this for a second. Today, you're going to be all somber. Tomorrow, you're going to be one of those voices that says, well, we ought to let the refugees in. This is just not fair, Rod. You must be some kind of special stupid. Well, frankly, I'm a little tired of it. I see all this. I've seen this crap all weekend long, leading up to today. I mean, yesterday, I got so sick of the NFL, I didn't watch a single damn game. I mean, do you realize, here we are on the brink of 9/11. We got Irma flowing through Florida, and we got these millionaire jackasses who can't stand for the pledge. Most of them don't even know why they're kneeling. They don't know. They have no clue. Oh, they just don't like Colin Kaepernick. Can I use the F-bomb? F-bomb Colin Kaepernick. He is not God's gift to football. And I think it is past time that George Goodell stepped down. I have no idea what that mamby-pamby man is doing. I mean, we're talking football here. Grow some balls, man. Stand up and tell these players, look, the NFL is a business, and you are employees. And if you cannot do what employees of the NFL expect you to do, I don't care how big of a name you are, I don't care how many millions of dollars you are, you're going to either be fined or fired. I mean, this is ridiculous. We got 9/11 today, and yesterday, we got a bunch of NFL players taking a knee during the national anthem. What is more American than American football other than possibly baseball? And these jackasses are taking a knee to protest the national anthem. And, by fiat, protesting the United States. And then today, you're probably going to hear them and have a microphone, especially during the Monday night football game tonight. You're probably going to have some people ask, some reporters ask some of these players about 9/11. Remembrance? Yeah, we're here. We're going to, we're wearing this special pin to remember 9/11. in 2001, and we're gonna play for all the people that passed away and all their families and everything. Oh, bullshit! In the meantime, you're taking a knee to protest something. You have no clue of what you're protesting, and frankly, neither does Colin Kaepernick. And Rod, you don't understand. There's that third stanza that really meant he was for slavery. Oh, he was not. This is the whole point about reading stuff that was written 200 years ago or 150 years ago and reading it in today's language. It doesn't mean the same thing that it originally meant. And even if you read it by today's standards, you still got it half wrong. This is just, I'm beside myself with frustration and anger. And I'm not angry at the rest of the world. I don't have to leave these shores. I don't have to leave it all. The fields of amber, the purple mountains. It's the people of this country that are probably the worst there are for this country. Now, I don't know about you, but there aren't many countries on this planet where the members of the country, the citizens of the country, hate their own country so bad. And then be hypocritical on a very important day. They're all come together today and talk about, oh, it was a terrible day. We remember I remember where I was. Remember where you were? It was just terrible. But then turn around and just and protest the country. And protest the memory of all those people that lost their lives. The good, the bad, the ugly, the first responder, the last responder, doesn't matter. We lost a lot of good, solid American lives that day, 16 years ago. And yet we want to over-memorialize it. Why? So we feel good. Screw the feeling good. How about we actually memorialize their memory by doing good? And it has been past time that we start taking this whole war on terror thing. We're not taking it seriously. It's, 15 years later and we're still pussyfooting around in Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria? Give me a freaking break. We're not taking this seriously. We're allowing two rogue nations to get nuclear weapons, Iran and North Korea, while we're being lectured by their supporters of Russia and China? Are you kidding me? Two countries who aren't well known for their what? Human rights, and we're supposed to be all about human rights, aren't we? We take a knee because of human rights. We blame everybody today who's white because of what they're not even their own ancestors. They're only tied because they have the same skin color, what they did over 150, 160 years ago. Oh, you white, so it's your fault that we were slaves back then. Not a single white person today had anything to do with slavery. Not a single white person alive today had anything to do with slavery. And yet it's their fault that we had slavery. Forget that there are bunches and bunches and bunches of black people involved in slavery. Capturing and selling off other black people. Forget that. It's not their fault. Because if the white man didn't come to the African shores and offer them money, they wouldn't have sold people. I mean, that's really what I've heard. If the Dutch hadn't gone to the shores of Africa and offered, black-led tribes money for their prisoners, they wouldn't have sold them. No, they just would have killed them, sacrificed them, slaughtered them. So there's a bunch of Dutch that said, you know what, we'll take them off your hands. Okay. So, other black people aren't responsible for what happened in Africa, some 400 or 500 years ago when the slave trade got started. Nope. Just the white people. And you white people today, every single one of you, it's your fault. Because obviously, if you really were against slavery, you wouldn't have let your ancestors be slave masters. So, somehow you would have chosen not to be born in that family. I'm telling you, you would have chosen to be born brown or black. Yeah, that's because that's the way they make it. You may think that Rod, that's just silly. You're probably saying, Rod, that's silly. Well, no, because that's exactly the way they're making it sound. You should be ashamed of by allowing yourself to be born white in this country. The meanest, whitest country that ever existed, the United States of America. I mean, that's just terrible. How dare you? And then because you're born white in the meanest, most white country in America, how dare you prevent certain brown people from coming here who want to kill you? That's what the left is telling you. And you got half of you in that stupid age group that we call the millennials who believe this garbage. And then they walk around and they protest, in majority white states for Black Lives Matter, and not a single black person is involved. Really? Oh, that's because we have this new term. Remember Rachel Dolezal? Oh, yeah, she's trans black. We done lost our minds.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
And now a message from our sponsor. Ladies, tired of drying your hair with the same old vacuum cleaner? Try Avon Shave brand new Beauty Locks portable hair dryer. It's smaller, it's faster, it's guaranteed to give you the hair you've always wanted in half the time. Beauty Locks is delicate and dainty, just like you. The dryer weighs only a pound and easily fits in your hand. Now that's beauty and convenience. With a speedy motor that will dry your hair in as little as 25 minutes, you can get gorgeous hair without falling behind schedule. Don't worry about the little ones or that pie in the oven. Thanks to an extra-long extension cord, you can move around while primping your locks. Forget those long trips to the salon and no more waiting for hours under monster machines. Avon Shave gives you an easy and speedy hairdo that will blow your man away. Get it now at your nearest Macy's.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show. Let truth be told.
603-835-3226 is the call-in hotline number this morning. Yeah, I'm a little bit grouchy. You can go ahead and say I'm grouchy this morning because it was. I had a good weekend, but seeing some of this crap that was going on with the NFL and certain other things, the idiocy that was going on surrounding Irma, and I'm not talking about the people of Florida. Because actually, for the first time in a major storm's history, it looked like a lot of people in Florida, citizens, were actually taking things seriously. And for the most part, they were being pretty organized. There wasn't I didn't see a whole lot of reports of there being trouble during the evacuation. I mean, it was pretty civil. Even when they were running out of gasoline. I mean, it was amazing how civil people were at gas stations. And I now that's America right there. That's how America responds. That's how we act. Yeah, I mean, there's the looting stuff, and there's reports of that, and it's just ridiculous. And bunches and bunches of people left their pets behind. And I guess the authorities in Miami or in other towns. The city of Florida are actually going to start pursuing felony charges against pet owners who abandon their pets, like their dogs. They had to rescue dozens of dogs. I mean, look, you don't leave your dog behind. Come on, people. You don't leave your cat behind. You take them with you. I mean, the airlines were making it very easy for you guys to take your pets along. Most of them weren't even charging you extra. That they normally do to help to get you and your pet out of harm's way. I mean, there's just no reason to leave a helpless animal behind like that, really. But for the most part, it seemed like it was an orderly evacuation. But you're not going to get the press who's going to. Well, before I get off into that tangent. Let's get to the phones and bring on our caller, 731. You're live on the Rod Eccles Show. Good morning. I know it's Monday, and I may sound grouchy, but I'm not really all that grouchy.
I'm grouchy. And, you were talking about the NFL. Well, tonight they will be on, and the players will have their shoes splattered with the victims' names, all 9/11, all over their shoes while they take a knee during the national anthem. And it's despicable. And I actually had a family member play in the NFL for many years, and it's very disappointing what's going on, and I refuse to watch them. But I want to say this real quick about what you were talking about 9/11. I have my pets with me. They're going for a ride. Anyway, what I wanted to say is about, I don't know if you watched Charlie Rose interview Steve Bannon last night on CBS. Did you watch it?
No, I did not.
Well, it's an interesting watch, and you should go back. But what I find amazing is 9/11. They're going to talk about it all day today, and God bless the souls that were lost on 9/11. But they're advocating, and Charlie Rose being one, to have open borders in the United States. And the DECA, that's such a mean thing to do. Well, you know what? That's our war. When you're talking about terrorism, current and present danger is what surrounds us. We're allowing this to happen. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is no different from what some countries in Western. Look, you've got countries in Europe that refuse to take in these people without vetting them properly, and they don't have any incidents or very few incidents of terrorism going on. So their citizens aren't being targeted and murdered. We're trying to be more. We're trying to be more like France and Germany, that's having tons of problems. I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't have any problem with immigration, legal immigration. I don't have any problem with helping refugees, real refugees. What I have a problem with is people using this occasion to just destroy the United States because they have a personal vendetta, and this is Americans too. They have a personal vendetta against one party in this country. And because they have a personal vendetta against one political party in this country, they are assuming that the entire country is evil and needs to be brought down, a peg or 2 or 10 or 30.
That's exactly right. And I'm going to say something to you, and and this may be the media is partly responsible. I'm going to say largely responsible. I watched them, talk about this Irma. I watched it, and I don't know a lot about radar, but something's not right. I'm just going to tell you straight out, something's not right. But that's not here nor there. We have 5.5 million people throughout Florida without power. And then you look on Fox News this morning, because I deliberately looked on there because I wanted to see all the mess. Rob, there was no mess. There was still lights hanging, like decorating lights on a deck on a business outside, and where this 130-mile winds went through, or whatever they were reporting. Something's not right. And I thank God people, erred on the side of caution and got out of there. But I think that, the media, they're doing a number on us.
Oh, they're awful. I'm looking at the time.
It's awful. And, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. I'm a country girl, and I can see. But, I want to say to people, wake up. And, they're going to, and I'm in Tennessee, and we're supposedly going to have a hurricane up here. But you know what? I'm telling people, wake up. And I'm just like you. I've been so angry. My husband's like, what is wrong with you? It makes me angry. And because so many people are asleep and watching that and believing it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's sad, but anyway, you did a great job, and I thank God for you.
Thank you very much. Up against the clock here.
Keep up the good work.
All right, thank you very much.
Keep up the good work. Good day.
Well, she's got a point there, folks. Can't. Well, we'll be back.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Welcome back. Call-in hotline number 603-835-3226. Feel free to utilize it. If you are, folks, this is just, it's a bit of frustration. Now, I didn't watch a whole hell of a lot of Irma coverage over the weekend, but I watched just enough. And again, folks, I'm telling you, if you're able to go back and see the progression of the media, you can see their countenance turn downward as Irma began to not live up to their nightmarish dreams. Now, leading up to Irma, it hit Barbuda and a couple of other Caribbean islands at full force, Category 5, 185 mile per hour winds. And, what was it? Barbuda had 80% of the structures were wiped out. One of the Caribbean islands, the number was that bad. And I explained to you why that was going to happen before it even happened. They're showing pictures of some of these devastated islands. And what you got is you've got a bunch of shanties that were totally and completely obliterated because the shanties are not made to stand up against hurricanes at all. Even a Category 1, they were going to get blown over. But this is what we were seeing. And they were using it as propaganda to tell us how bad it was going to be in Florida. It was going to be so awful. They were warning about. I was watching them. They were warning against storm surges of 10 to 15 feet and then 30-foot waves on top of the surge. I mean, there was a stupid reporter sitting out there. I don't remember what channel I was watching at the time, but the reporter was talking about, I'm 6 foot tall, and we're talking about a storm surge that is going to be 10 feet over my head, plus waves on top of that. And he's standing on the beach, and he's telling me, and all the viewers, that we're going to have a 15-foot storm surge plus 30-foot waves, and he's standing on the beach if this is going to happen. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking if the storm is coming, the surge is going to be that high, and then waves on top of it, what the hell am I doing standing on the beach with a cameraman reporting about it? I've always wondered that kind of crap. Oh, no, we got time, Rod. We got some time. We're safe. Really? You're telling us the storm is going to be huge and massive, and yet you've got time to get to a shelter, or you've got time to get out of there? Because if the storm surge is going to be 10 or 15 feet, and then there are going to be waves up to 30 feet high on top of the storm surge, you're talking about a walls of water of 40 feet plus. What shelter are you going to be in that is going to be able to withstand the battering of 40-foot walls of water? Am I the only one who thinks about this stuff? But so we were told that it was going to be the end of Florida as we know it. And really, it's going to devastate. It's going to hit every city in Florida, man. We're talking about this could be the first $1 trillion storm. And I was talking about this with a friend over the weekend about how the press does this, how the media does this. They overhype everything. That's going to be negative. They overhype everything negative. And that people are going to get tired. I mean, this is part of the reason what happened with Katrina 12 years ago is people got tired of the media crying wolf, so to speak. And they didn't buy the hype. Even the politicians, didn't buy the hype. So what happened is what's-her-face, the governess of Louisiana, and the mayor, Ray Nagin, didn't take them serious enough to get people out of New Orleans. And as a result, look, this is the same thing that happened in Houston. You had the black Democrat mayor who obviously didn't think Harvey was going to be all that bad. He didn't buy the hype, and he said, "No, just stay where you are." This is what a lot of people do. They hear this stuff now, and they're thinking, yeah, well, it's not going to be that bad. And in order to get people to listen to them, they up the hype. Oh, this is going to be bad, man. This is going to be terrible. Look what it's done to Barbuda. It is going to be awful. And then they kept, I was watching them with the storm track. And for some reason, Irma was hugging the coastline of Cuba. Hugging the coastline of Cuba. And the weather people were beside themselves because they were trying to get the track to continue to go up through the middle of Florida like they originally had it. But Irma, as time went on, kept tracking farther and farther west. And it kept losing steam. Now, I'm watching them on air talk about this. Oh, this is unbelievable. I don't know. I literally had a weather guy tell me, this is unbelievable. It's like it's hugging Cuba. It's loving Cuba right now. But we do believe the track is still going to is going to hit go up through Florida and hit all the major cities and blah. They kept saying this. And it kept tracking farther and farther to the west, and they were getting disappointed that Irma wasn't following what they wanted it to do. They wanted this to happen, folks. They wanted it. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate, but for whatever reason, the weather pattern had Irma going farther and farther and farther west, and you losing steam. It's amazing. Now, I'm afraid that the next time that these people hear about something this devastating, or is going to come blow through their town, not just Florida, anywhere, that people are not going to take it seriously. And then it is going to be that bad. Because it seems like every time we say it's going to be this awful and this bad, it doesn't even come close. Now, so far what we've seen is the death and destruction of Irma didn't come anywhere near the apocalyptic scenario that they kept telling us about and warning us about for 2 weeks almost. Now, I'm glad that people got out of the way, and I am glad that people were thoroughly prepared as they possibly could. And I am glad that for the most part, except for some of the water stuff, that people were orderly, patient, and caring enough to help people get the hell out of the way. I'm glad people listen. But they went through all of this for what a lot of people are going to say was for nothing. Now, news people are supposed to be able to understand and moderate. They're supposed to be able to moderate this stuff and actually report the truth. I am. Now, I know some people are saying, well, Rod, are you upset that the storm didn't? No, I'm not upset that the storm didn't turn out to be a Category 5 that totally wiped out Florida. Look, that was the hand of God that protected Florida for whatever reason. God swept the hurricane to the west coast and diminished its power. And what is it? Now she's just a tropical storm, right? Yeah, lots of rain, still pretty windy. Heading up into north into Georgia and Alabama and things, and it's going to dissipate in a few days. In the meantime, we've got a bunch of stupid people. I'm surprised. Frankly, I'm surprised. I know. Places like Miami-Dade County, they've got curfews. And they're pretty much rolling into a lockdown situation. I'm surprised they haven't declared martial law. I really am. Because people are just being that stupid. You know, there isn't a whole hell of a lot of looting going on from the reports that are coming out. And that's good too. There shouldn't be any, but you know, there's just going to be some. But it's frustrating as all get out to hear this stuff constantly from the mainstream media not doing their job, because they're more interested in not reporting the facts. They're not interested in doing that. They're interested in promoting an agenda that they have. And I have no idea why we're putting up with it. I do not know. I do not fully understand. Look, I understand that there are some powerful people with lots of money and influence behind the news media in this country and in the Western world. But I have no idea why we, the American people, put up with it. I don't know why we still watch ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS. I have no idea why we watch it. CNN headline news. I have no idea why we support. I guess we're not really watching CNN all that much, but somehow CNN has stayed alive all these years after having dismal ratings. Who the hell is advertising on CNN? Honestly, you want to talk about subsidizing? There's no way I would like somebody to audit CNN's books, because there is no way in hell that network, with the ratings that it was getting, even during the Obama years, the low, ridiculous, dismal ratings that CNN was garnering, nobody was watching. I mean, you have a national program, or a international network, basically, where they had programs where they were getting barely 300,000 people to watch. Now, how do you roll up to an advertiser and say, hey, your money's going to be well spent on our network if you advertise to these 300,000 people? I would love to see their books. There's something not right there. I'm not into network television. I'm in radio. But I understand that even radio stations, it's a lot less expensive to run a radio station than a TV station, but you still got to have revenue coming in. And it's still a business. You still have to have more revenue coming in than going out in order to make a profit and stay a viable business. You can't even break even, because there's no such thing as break even. Why? Because you have to reinvest. If you don't reinvest and upgrade, then you're going to fall behind. You're going to lose money. So there is really no such thing as break even in a business. So I would just from that standpoint, from a business standpoint, I just don't understand how they're able to stay afloat. Where is the revenue coming from? I understand that they have a parent company, and the parent company's got deep pockets, but how long does a parent company, if this were any other type of industry, wouldn't that parent company shut that poor company down? I mean, look at retail outlets. They got stores that aren't they're even shutting down some retail outlets like Sears are shutting down even stores that show a slight profit. Why? Because they're still losing money on them. Because there's a lot more than just that initial bottom line. There's a number of bottom lines to business. How do I know? Because I've owned businesses. I've worked for those. I've worked for big business. And they all talk about the bottom line, bottom line, bottom line. You know, you got the gross bottom line, and then you've got the pre-tax bottom line. You got the post-tax bottom line. There's a bunch of different lines. And if you're going to be a successful, viable business, you've got to show a profit in every one of those lines. And the profit has got to be significant enough, return on investment as they call it, ROI, to keep the business moving forward. Because you got to reinvest the profits into inventory, technology, and people, and training. And if there isn't enough to do that, your business is going to fail. And if you have a department that is dragging down the rest of the business, you cut it loose. You shut it down. So I'm just, again, even though CNN is part of a big conglomerate, how much money are they willing to let CNN siphon off? I'd love to see the books. See how they do this. Really. It'd be interesting for them to open up, folks. You're not going to hear this from the big talking heads. I mean, honestly. They're not going to tell. Well, one of the big talking heads works for a major network. Think he's going to talk about his own people? Well, look, Fox is obviously doing a lot better than CNN, and they're making more money and have better revenue. Well, I would assume that they have better revenue generation than CNN, but I'm not privy to the book, so I don't know. But looking from the outside in, from a business standpoint, one would assume that Fox is doing better than CNN. But those talking heads aren't going to give you a real inside look at business like that. There's something else going on. The caller was right. There's something else going on here, folks. I'm telling you, and it's nefarious. It's evil. It's un-American. To be frank, it's un-American. Just don't doubt me.
Hello, America. It's me, your history. I remember a time when we thumbed our nose in a king's face, sent him packing. And when fascists and emperors talked a little bit too loud, we showed up, tore their cities to the ground, and then rebuilt them just to prove we could. We put men on the moon, we won a Cold War, and we elected fearless leaders who led fearless people. What the hell happened to you, America? Back in my day, we didn't elect a big-eared community organizer. We punched him in the kidney. Maybe it's time you came home, America. Home where you belong.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
This is Free America broadcasting on the Rod Eccles Show with a message to all patriots trapped behind the lines in California, New York, Boston, and Chicago. Don't give up, true lovers of America. Even as we speak, moves are being made to drive the invaders back to the land from which they came, defeat the would-be dictators, and lift the chains of tyranny from around your neck. Stay strong. Stay brave. You're not forgotten, and you're not alone. Until next time, patriots, this is Free America signing out.
Call Rod now, 603-835-3226. Lines are open.
One of the things hitting on 9/11 today that has gotten me a little frosted is I don't have any family members who were involved as first responders in New York City on this day, 16 years ago. As far as I know, I didn't lose any family members, but I have family members and friends, some good friends, who are or were first responders. They were cops and firefighters. I have family members who wanted to be first responders, firefighters and things like that. And they went through training and all that kind of stuff. And so this whole thing of what they're doing with 9/11 and what they're doing, like in the NFL, it is disrespecting them. Well, Rod, the cops, man. Okay. Let's just say that you're a cop hater. For whatever reason, you don't like the police. Now, I know a lot of Americans don't trust cops, but it's not like they dislike them. But you know, look. As I said, I've got close friends who are cops, and they tell me some of the horror stories of policing. You know, the good and bad horror stories. And trust me, most cops fully understand why many in the public don't like or trust police officers. But this is not about that. This is about these people, the NFL, disrespecting. Let's just take the cops out of it. How about the other first responders? The fire department. You're telling me that it is quite all right for you to let in people into this country who could potentially put more firefighters in danger. And they have, by the way. Firefighters have no agenda. They're not out there, you know, with a gun on their hip and a badge on their chest. They're out there. Their only thing is to protect property and save lives. And you want to continue to put their lives in danger so you could fulfill some sort of self-fulfilling, self-aggrandizing policy? Why? I don't understand that. Now, you can say you don't like cops. Fine, take them out of the equation. It wasn't just cops who lost their lives in New York City 16 years ago. It was firefighters. They don't have, you may accuse your police department of having an agenda and your police chief or police commissioner of having an agenda. Firefighters don't have an agenda. They don't have one. You cannot tell me that any fire department anywhere has an agenda other than saving property and life. Really? But yet you want to put their lives in danger for no reason. To make a statement?
Have you ever thought to yourself, I'm a leftist elite Hollywood a-hole? If so, good news. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College is now open, featuring such courses as unemployment is not paid vacation. No, Americans don't want to spend $19 for an order of French fries, and the ever popular shut the hell up. Why, just listen to this big-time celebrity endorsement.
I'm not Rosie O'Donnell, and I think this school's offensive, sexist, and racist.
And I think you're a giant a-hole who needs to shut the hell up. Hey, we teach a course in that. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College, where being an a-hole is not a guarantee you'll be an A student.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and always stay in the kitchen when cooking at high temperatures. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
And now, a message from the American Migraine Foundation.
It's an absolute nightmare. I was terrified. It was like your head's going to explode.
Migraine is a disabling disease.
Just all of a sudden couldn't see.
Migraine has ruined my life.
Absolutely terrifying.
There's pain that does not stop.
It's a throbbing, pulsing, banging, hammering feeling in your head.
36 million Americans suffer.
I started getting migraines around 5 years old.
Just takes over everything.
I feel trapped by migraine.
It hurts like my head's gonna fall off.
And the whole world around you stops.
My world has gotten small.
You feel like the world's closing in on you. There's nothing you can do.
I had spent a year housebound. It's like you're trapped in your head. There's no escaping it. You can't leave your body.
Don't suffer alone. Make your move against migraine. Visit AmericanMigraineFoundation.org to find help, learn more, and get connected.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
And so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Good morning to you. Welcome back. Hour number 2 here on the Rod Eccles Show. Here it is, 9/11 day. It is September number 11 in the year of our Lord 2017. The call-in hotline number is 603-835-3226. Now I know I've been pretty hard this morning. Well, you know, I'm not going to say I'm being hard on it. And I feel for all the people who were involved or who had family that were involved in the attacks, because that's exactly what it was, on September 11th in 2001. And I want people to, one of the things that they do not do, and this sort of irks me. Now, let me say first. Let me just say, at least going around here in northern New England, on September, in the weeks that followed in September of 2001, America experienced something that it had not experienced in probably since World War II, and that was patriotism. Now, you could say it was, for some of you on the left, I know you're saying it was patriotism run amok. It was solid, hardcore patriotism. People were flying the American flag everywhere. In places that were trying to limit the flying of the American flag, well, they were basically challenged like you would not believe. Now, some 16 years on, here in northern New England, and in certain places that I have visited when giving keynote speeches, like Texas, I hate to say it, not California, not California. And I've been out to California over the past 5 years at least 6 times. You know, a couple of times on vacation, and the rest were to give speeches out there. I have seen, even around here and in Texas, and in the Carolinas, when I went to the Carolinas, and if you go to rural Pennsylvania, you'll see it there too. The American flag still being prominently and proudly flown on people's homes and businesses. I don't see a lot of other kinds of flags being flown. The people have got the American flag. I mean, you go around here in northern New England, and the pickup truck with the flag on it. You see it a lot. In fact, and these are not just what you would consider to be, low class blue collar people in a beat up pickup truck. I'm talking new, expensive $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 pickups. They're luxury pickups with flags mounted on them. The American flag. And it's not just white people. Here in northern New England, it's not just white people. I know you'll probably get people like Black Lives Matter tell you it's a symbol of white oppression and white supremacy and all that kind of bullshit. It's not just white people flying the American flag, at least not around here. And let's face it, northern New England, you want to say Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, they're not exactly well diversified as far as ethnic people are concerned. But me, I walk around here and I go anywhere I want to go, and I rarely run into any kind of ethnic discrimination problem. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Of course it exists. It exists everywhere on the planet. Look, I've heard stories. You go to Asia. You're a white person in Asia or a black person in Asia. You want to know what discrimination? I mean, South Korea. South Korea is probably one of the, from what I understand, is one of the most racist countries on the planet. But we're supposed to be bad. Now, I'm not chastising South Korea. I've never been there. I don't know. These are just stories that I've heard. Both personal anecdotal stories and in the news. This is a country that is allowed to be proud. And you have some on the left that want to chastise and try to shame you for being a proud American. Don't let them do it. Don't let them do it. It is quite all right to fly your fruit flag, and that means the rainbow flag for the LGBT community. Oh, yeah, that's fine. You go to certain enclaves in New England here, and you'll see that flag flying everywhere. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But don't tell me that it's a sign or a symbol of oppression when you fly the American flag. That's a bunch of bullshit. And don't tell me that, we got to be careful of, it can be I don't care if it's offending, if it offends anybody. When I was in Paris a couple of years ago, I saw the French flag flying all over the place. And for crying out loud, the French people should be flying their flag. And I'm talking Paris. The enclave of French liberalism is in Paris. And yet the French flag was flying everywhere I went in Paris. Almost made me feel like an honorable French person, to tell you the truth. I was happy to see it. And if you are in, I don't care what country you're in, Spain, Italy, Greece, Russia, fly the flag of your country in your country as proudly as you possibly can. That includes here. I don't see anybody chastising Canadians for flying the Canadian flag, that big maple leaf thing. Whenever I see that flying, even I know that. Look, I had a neighbor that was that was Canadian. She wasn't French Canadian. She was Canadian. Her husband was American, and they flew on their property the Canadian flag and the American flag side by side. I was happy to see it. Nothing wrong with being proud of your country of origin. But it's so sad to hear and see that we've got a group of Americans who, for whatever reason, because they've been taught by a bunch of liberal, mamby-pamby idiots, that they should be ashamed of being Americans. On 9/11, on this day, we should stand and remember what America really stands for. And what does America really stand? It stands for freedom. If it were not for the United States of America, this would be an entirely different planet, full of oppression. If you don't think so, friends, think about what we went through in the 20th century. Think about that. America, with the help of the Brits, I'm sorry, but nobody else ever really gave a real significant contribution like the Brits. If it was not for the US of A, there would be no freedom anywhere on this planet right now. Britain and France would not have been able to win World War I without us. They definitely would not have won World War II. You'd be seeing the red Chinese flag, the Soviet Union flag, and the German Nazi flag, or not even the Chinese flag, the Japanese imperialist flag. Those three flags would be dominating this planet. And not one of those three flags represents freedom. Not one of those three now extinguished nations stood for freedom. Japan's still around. No, imperialist Japan is not around. We defeated them. The Soviet Union is not around. We defeated them. Nazi Germany is not around. We defeated them. And yet you've got a bunch of jackasses running around in this country trying to support that kind of crap. And we're supposed to be ashamed to stand up for the flag and this country as it was originally founded. Without this country as it was originally founded, you jackasses who are out there protesting wouldn't have the ability to do so. This world would be unrecognizable. Now, I don't mean to say that we're superior to anybody else, because we're not. But frankly, without the United States of America as it was originally founded, there would be no freedom anywhere on this planet. Zero. Zilch. Nada. You wouldn't be standing up for illegal immigrants. Do you think that the Nazis and the Russians, the Soviets, would have put up with what's going on now in the Middle East? They would crush it. There would be no, well, maybe, I don't know if that's a bad thing. there probably would be no major Islam in the world today. Because after all, Nazism and communism, Sovietism, didn't have room for religion. They persecuted religious people. They murdered them by the millions. They would not put up with this. But somehow freedom, the beacon of freedom, meaning the West, we're the bad guys. And we have a lamestream media that popularizes and promotes that narrative. Freedom is a two-edged sword because it means we also allow them to do it. But it doesn't mean we have to support them. And I, for one, won't.
You're listening to the Rod Eccles Show, the coolest, most politically incorrect, conservative black man on the planet.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
(603-835-3226). You know, I don't. Well, it is what it is. Got some good news today. At least it was good news for me. If the news is accurate and honest. By the way, I guess people are loving the new It movie. made nearly $120 million over the weekend, in its opening weekend. So, I'm not into the horror genre, and I actually did watch the miniseries when it was on TV. Anybody? Was it It was a 3-night miniseries when it was on TV, some years ago. I was not impressed by it. Evidently, Stephen King is now at the part. I guess he's now at the part of his career where he's redoing movies and TV shows into movies that he did not like how they were originally done, and it was one of them. I remember people talking about that. He was livid about how they did the original Shining, and he was livid about how they did It. And I guess he had a big hand in the current movie. Now I don't follow Hollywood that closely, so I don't know how much involved that he was in this one, but evidently people are giving it praise and saying, yeah, it follows the book a hell of a lot more closely than the miniseries did. So people are loving the movie. And I'm kind of like thinking maybe I want to go see it. Look, I know who Stephen King is, and Stephen King is he's a northeastern Maine liberal, frankly. I get it. But at the same time, every once in a while you can go see something that's halfway decent. I guess people want to. Jennifer Lawrence, she had such promise, she really did. But evidently she's got a new movie coming out. I don't know what it is, but she's daring Trump supporters not to go to her movie. Easier said or easier done than said, Jennifer. I don't even know what your movie is. I can't tell you the last Jennifer Lawrence movie I did see. So I don't particularly care. But some good news here is evidently Breitbart is reporting that Hillary Clinton says she'll never run for office again. She says, and I quote, "I'm done with being a candidate." That's all I can say about that. Yeah, that's some grand news to get on this day. That she says that she will. Now, I will believe it when I don't see her running, and I will believe it when we put her 6 feet under. Now, I don't wish for her early demise. I don't. I don't. But to see, running is one thing. Being a candidate is one thing. But evidently, she's not going away, and it's now at the point where many Democrats, even her supporters, want her to go away. They wish she would go. They wish she would shut up and go away. Because she's doing this excuse tour. We had Obama when he was president doing the Apologize for America tour all over the Middle East. And now we've got Hillary doing the excuse tour about why she lost, and none of the excuses for her losing the presidency, none of those reasons or excuses are her fault. So it's somebody else. So she would have been the excuse giver in chief if she were elected. Thank God she wasn't. We dodged a bullet then on November 16. Hurricane Hillary. So, but she says she's not going to run again. And that is a good, I guess she said this on CBS this morning yesterday. She claimed that she would never run for office again. She says, "I'm done with being a candidate, but I'm not done with politics because I literally believe that our country's future is at stake." You're right. It is at stake, and people like you have put it at stake. Because you're not for liberty, individual rights, and freedom. You're not. You're an elitist. Now I'm gonna the radical. Well, it's not even really all that radical, but the left in this country, folks, they're just as dangerous as the Soviet Union was. as the Nazis were, as the Imperial Japanese were, as the Islamists are. They're just as dangerous. And as long as they're out there talking about, well, you know, people should not be free, I'm going to be here talking and standing against them. How about you?
Dad, we need to talk.
Can we just enjoy the drive?
If you're not going to listen to me, who will we listen to?
Jeffrey. Marcia Gay Harden, what?
Eyes on the road, Dad.
What are you doing? What are you doing in my back seat? How did you get in here?
You're getting older.
Not that old.
Your brain's changing. It's natural.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Honey, I've got experience with this. Jeffrey, brain health is all about making the most of your brain as you age and helping to reduce some of the risks to your brain.
Really? Now that's interesting.
So, you'll talk to her about this, but not me. Marcia Gay Harden? Where did she go?
Learn what you can do to help keep your brain healthy at brainhealth.gov. She didn't say goodbye? I mean, I would have. Visit brainhealth.gov.
Every day, 70,000 puppies or kittens are born in the U.S. Cute, right? What's not cute is that half of all litters are accidents, which leads to millions killed in shelters each year. Turns out, those little cuties can get pregnant sooner than you think. But here's the good news. You can stop the accident before it happens. When you bring home a pet, get them fixed at 4 months old. Prevent more. Fix at month 4. Visit fixat4.com for more information. Brought to you by Best Friends Animal Society.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, it can lead to arthritis, facial paralysis, and even memory and concentration problems, often called brain fog. As the threat of Lyme disease grows to more than 300,000 projected cases each year, it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside, even in your own backyard. It means seeing a doctor if you experience the symptoms of Lyme disease, which can include joint pain, flu-like symptoms, fever, fatigue, or sometimes a bullseye-shaped rash. Set your sights on stopping Lyme. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event!
Promises to one's community.
Healthy people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
We're here early before they wake up. We stay late, we stay informed, we invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
We do this not because it's our job, but because this is about our veterans' lives. This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
Hi, this is Kelsey Grammer. When military service members head into battle, None are expected to face the enemy alone, but many return home and become isolated as they struggle with the visible and invisible wounds of war. It can be difficult knowing how to overcome that challenge and rekindle bonds similar to those formed in the military. Wounded Warrior Project supports these injured veterans through their recoveries by connecting them with fellow warriors and their communities. No one should fight this battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Call Rod now, 666-603-835-3226. We got to hit the paper pile right now. Haven't done it yet. Haven't even really touched the paper pile this morning. Just scratched the surface of it. But down to Florida. NBC News. Irma has been downgraded to a tropical storm. And as you know, as predicted, left millions without power in Florida, and of course, you know, we knew this was going to happen. Currently, knock on wood, no deaths have been confirmed as of late Sunday, pertaining to Irma, which, frankly, it says two things. One, the storm was not nearly as bad as they said, and two, the main part, the preparation for this thing coming on shore, was tremendous and successful. You know, people were smart in getting out or getting to higher ground and hunkering down. That's a good thing. Now for that, you could say, well, you know, then maybe the media did its job in scaring people to actually motivate them to move. I actually think that it wasn't so much the media, but that those in political power in Florida, from the smallest local people all the way up to the state level. And I did see a number of different interviews with people doing, reporters getting small city, small town, little mayors on there, and the mayors were obviously, you know, encouraging their residents, their citizens, their constituents to prepare and leave, especially in the coastal areas. They were telling everybody leave. No need to stay. You know, you batten down the hatches as best you can and then get out. So that's what you do in something like this. Now imagine if this were 100 years ago. Before all the radar and before all the satellite imagery and before all the high tech ease of communication, could you imagine what this storm would have done to people? I mean, really, if you look at where Irma hit in the Caribbean, imagine if there was no community. Now, those people couldn't get off their various islands. They just couldn't. They had to, you know, they got to have the storm shelters and get to shelter as best they can and wait it out. But imagine if there was no advance warning. The death toll the death toll that did happen 100 years ago and before then, with a lot less dense populations when these storms came blowing through, because there was no real warning. And today we get plenty of warning, and for the most part in this particular case, and in the Galveston, Houston greater area, got out of the way. That's a good thing. But you don't have to overhype a storm in order to get people to pay attention and listen to you, really. You don't. But they're now talking about that there are nearly 6 million people in Florida without electricity, without power. Now, every time we go through something like this, I don't care where it is. It could be due to a tornado. It could be due to thunder, massive thunderstorms, hurricanes, windstorms, tropical. It doesn't matter. We seem to be repeating the same thing over and over again. Now, folks, this is the time that we really need to start talking about, and not just talking, but acting on our infrastructure. Do you realize that our infrastructure today is no better than it was 100 years ago? It really isn't. We have the capability of fully armorizing and decentralizing our power grid. But what do we do instead? All we talk about is building massive plants, whether they be oil-fired or gas-fired or coal-fired or nuclear-fired or solar-fired or wind-fired. All we want to do is build these massive farms and power farms and plants, and then put up this weak wired system. We know it's inefficient, for one. We know it's highly vulnerable to Mother Nature and to potential terrorist and other types of attacks. And yet this is what we continue to do. And now that when we go back into Florida after the storm is passed and they start cleaning up and start repairing power, restoring power, nobody's going to think about armorizing the system. And you're probably thinking, Rod, how do you armorize electricity? Well, first of all, you start decentralizing it, so you have more efficient, smaller plants closer to where the power is being delivered, and you bury as much of the power lines as you possibly can. You don't stick them up there for wind and ice and snow to take them down. Why do we continue to do this? Oh, we're not going to let the Mother Nature get the best of us. We're going to rebuild. Why? Remember all the flooding that happened, and the governments, state and federal governments, refused to let certain towns and people build in certain parts of the country after all of that, the Mississippi and then we had Hurricane Katrina. We refused to let people rebuild in certain areas. Why? Because we know it's going to happen again. And we have all this talk about, even in the Trump administration, about our infrastructure. What do we need to do? We need to build and modernize our power plants. But nobody's talking about rebuilding and modernizing our transmission of that power. Look, this is one of those things that I am very adamant about, that we need to armorize our infrastructure. We don't do that. We don't do it at all. See, well, you can't armorize roadways. Yeah, I get that. By the way, you can. And we have done certain things to improve construction, especially with some bridges, making them less susceptible to attack or to accidents or to Mother Nature. We've been doing a decent job of rebuilding our roads and bridges in that manner. Yeah, there's only so much you can do. I get it. But when it comes to actually, our power distribution grid, it's abysmal. We're still hanging heavy wires way up in the air. There's no protection for them. We still pretty much use the same hanger system, hanging these heavy wires as we have. And really, you can't really hang them any tighter or stronger because the poles just in order to you can't do it. It makes no sense. I mean, here in New Hampshire, they're talking about bringing a bunch of power down from Canada, from hydroelectric power from Canada, down through New Hampshire and into Massachusetts. And rightfully so, bunches and bunches of people have gotten together and said, no, we don't want this. Why? Because they originally wanted to over the White Mountains, just put up these high-tension power lines all through the White Mountains, just, right down the middle. Cut down trees, ruin the view. For what? So that the next ice storm here in New Hampshire could bring those wires down? The fight to get these companies to bury the line at least part of the way has been immense. I get that it's easier and cheaper just to build a tower, a telephone pole, what have you, and hang the stuff. But what is the actual cost over the long haul versus burying the lines? Yeah, I know a lot of people in different industries, and I got to tell you, there are people in the electric pole line workers. They say that the cost over time far exceeds the initial cost of burying these things. Because especially in places like this, what do they constantly do? They have a regular rotation system that covers a number of years that goes around and cuts back and chops down trees in an attempt to protect the lines. Because, hey, a tree could fall on a line and bring it down, right? Well, there's only so many trees you're going to be able to cut down. And trees continue to grow and grow and grow. And you got to keep going back and cutting these trees, trimming them and cutting them back and taking... I don't understand why we're not burying these things. I don't understand why we are not armorizing our power grid. That would be armorized. Burying it. Wind can't blow it down. The piping system that they use is pretty much watertight. So even if you had a flood, it's really not going to affect most of the line. I realize that the initial expense of burying a power line is a lot more expensive than just hanging it up in the air. But over time, the cost goes way down. And people don't lose power as readily. Look, they do that in many, when they build new subdivisions. In many new subdivisions all across the country, the lines get buried. The power and communication lines get buried. It improves the aesthetics of the place, and it improves the reliability, at least within that community. Now, the problem is that once you get out of the community, the lines go above ground again, and subject to, so they can get people in these communities that have buried lines, they get cut off just like everybody else. Because we simply do not learn our lesson. And we think that economy is only in scale. Not to mention one of the reasons why we still look at building these huge centralized power plants is because of the environmentalist wacko movement. Because they want you to, they will limit where on the footprint of the landscape where you can build a power plant. And then they want you to do all of this kind of, environmentally friendly, if you build something like a coal plant or a gas plant, you got to put all of these scrubbers in place and, anti-pollution stuff in place. And industry, power industry thinks it's cheaper just to build one plant instead of three. And the reality is the way things are regulated now, it is. The initial cost is cheaper to build a mega plant than it is to build less susceptible, smaller plants, closer to where the power is being delivered. You know how difficult it is to build a new power plant within a large community? It's nearly impossible. So you got to build it on the outskirts or in the middle of nowhere, and then you got to think about, well, how the hell are we going to get the power back to these communities that need it? and utilize it, well, we gotta put up these high tension power lines. This is the problem with this stuff. It's too easy to interrupt it. Too easy for it to come down. Too vulnerable. But I guarantee you nobody in Florida is going to think about this as they go about rebuilding. What you're going to see is a bunch of new power lines and telephone poles and metal poles going up. And then the next storm is going to come in and blow it down. And they're going to put the poles back up. And then a storm is going to come and blow it down. When we have the ability and the technology to prevent a lot of that. And yet we don't do it, mostly because we have all this stupid regulation that's based on fictional environmental scare tactics. You know, like the global warming stuff.
I'm not Rod Eccles, and I approve this message. A couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said, "I'll bet you're a Nazi." Well, I love America, support the Constitution, and believe in capitalism. So I told him I'm not a Nazi, and I'm not. So what happens? The punk breaks out 2 windows and pepper sprays an elderly woman in the face. You know, there's one thing about long-haired young people nowadays. They're real assholes. Long-haired young people, you suck.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
Warning. Listening to the Rod Eccles Show by the Idiot Left may cause outrage, fear, a need for safety pins and/or spaces. If you experience any of these symptoms or are allergic to truth, tune in and learn something.
That you are out there tuning in and listening to me rant this morning. I think they're good rants. They're honest. They're logical. And they tell you the truth. They tell you the truth. I don't like bringing you the worst that we have to offer, like this story from the New York Post. Miami has gone into lockdown amid looting in Miami. Miami's mayor imposed a 12-hour curfew beginning at 7 p.m. Yesterday in the wake of the flooding and other damage caused by Hurricane Irma. And I know that there are people out there that keep saying, well, we don't do enough to prevent flooding. And again, there's only so much you can do. I mean, we can't build things that'll handle storms like this on a regular basis. It would take up too much land. It would take up. You want to talk about destroying the environment. I mean, in order to build levees and that kind of, you got to destroy in order to build levees. And there's only so many pumps that you can put into a city. I mean, after all, if there's nowhere to pump the water, I mean, if your storm surge is that high, where are you going to pump the water? So you can't build walls around your city. And today's cities are just way too big. This is not medieval times. There's only so much you can do. Nature is going to win no matter what. Nature's pretty powerful. But what happens during and after such an event, that's all on human beings. And the need to lock down a city because you got a few people running around trying to steal stuff to take advantage of. I mean, this is just it's ridiculous. But then you got to realize and ask yourself, well, why do people do this? Well, they do it because, and it's not just. I know you often hear people talk about what's a bunch of inner city black people running around looting, but the reality is, looters come in all colors and sizes. They really do. And you see in the mainstream media that talks about the plight of brown and black people all the time, but they really want to show you is what black people are doing. And they ignore everybody else. It's not just inner city blacks who are doing the looting here, folks. And you got to ask yourself, why is that? Well, part of the reason is because you have some people who do not have any economic hope even to this day because of policies that have put them where they are and educational systems that have put them where they are in believing that they don't have any hope. You also have it in other non-black communities with the same thing. Just look at Antifa and Occupy. Now, those are mostly white people, are they not? But they're out there doing the same damn thing, except they're not using a storm as a chance as an opportunity, taking advantage of a storm. I don't know. They're creating storms all their own. And the media is putting them up on a pedestal. Oh, these protesters are just so wonderful. We have nature-related problems, and then we have man-made related problems. Both are equally devastating.
Today, there's a beer for everyone.
Hey, me and the guys are going out for a beer. You want to come along? Nah, I got a lot of data to enter into the computer tonight.
Now, there's a brew for the future.
Want me to bring you something back? Thanks, but I got some right here.
Microsoft Brew.
You got a beer tap on your computer?
With a head so thick you can float a mouse on it.
Let me get this straight. You make your own beer with the computer?
With the right software, you can do anything.
Microsoft Brew.
Here, I call this one Windows 95.
I don't know. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
And if you got to get there quicker, try the new ISDN malt liquor.
When I found out I had atrial fibrillation, a serious but highly treatable heart condition,
First thing I thought of was, who would take care of my wife and children if anything were to happen to me? My doctor recommended Prevactin. I had a lot of questions, so I did some research. It turns out Prevactin is the #1 recommended drug for Crohn's disease. I think my doctor's trying to kill me and steal my wife.
Doctors. They'll stop at nothing to get your wife.
And now, a message from the American Migraine Foundation.
It's an absolute nightmare. I was terrified. It was like your head's gonna explode.
Migraine is a disabling disease.
Just all of a sudden couldn't see.
Migraine has ruined my life.
Absolutely terrifying.
There's pain that does not stop.
It's a throbbing, pulsing, banging, hammering feeling in your head.
36 million Americans suffer.
I started getting migraines around 5 years old.
Just takes over everything.
I feel trapped by migraine.
It hurts like my head's gonna fall off.
And the whole world around you stops.
My world has gotten small.
You feel like the world's closing in on you. There's nothing you can do.
I had spent a year housebound. It's like you're trapped in your head. There's no escaping it. You can't leave your body.
Don't suffer alone. Make your move against migraine. Visit AmericanMigraineFoundation.org to find help, learn more, and get connected.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
And so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 already. The fastest 3 hours on Internet Talk Radio is right here on the Rod Eccles Show. I am, of course, your lovable fuzzball, L. Rod. Here it is on Monday, September number 11 in the year of our Lord 2017. It is Remembrance Day for 9/11/2001, of course. This is what we do every year. We memorialize and remember what happened on this faithful day some 16 years ago now. So welcome to all of you liberty lovers and ecclesiastites all across the globe, as well as you liberals who tune in. Glad that you are here. Maybe you will, if you close your mouths long enough and open your ears and just listen, you may have some logic part of your brain turned on and learn something today. Call-in number, the call-in hotline is 603-835-3226. Speaking of logic, well, more likely illogic, I mentioned this in the first hour of the program, but is anybody else out there a little tired of the antics of NFL players? I mean, we're talking, these guys are millionaires. Most of them. If they're on the field playing, they're most likely millionaires. They're most likely making well over $1 million with via their contract stint for playing a game. Now, look, I understand that sports can be big business. It is big business. But it's still a game. It is still child's play for adults. Now, with that said, even though it is a game, these sports teams and organizations are big business. You know, the National Baseball League, the National Hockey League, the National Baseball or Basketball Association, the National Football League, the Soccer Federation, all of that is They're big business. So let me ask you, put it in perspective. Every one of those people that are down there on that field of play or on that court of play, every single one of them are employees. They are employees. Now, look at these sports teams. By the way, not only are they're independent businesses, yes, but they're not exactly independent. They're franchises. So the franchisee for football is the National Football League, otherwise known as the NFL. They're franchisers. The franchisees are the individual teams. Now, these people that are on the field, from the players to the coaches to the support staff, they're all employees of the franchisee, which has to follow the rules and regulations of the franchisor. Like any, you got, if you're, just use for an example, say Domino's or McDonald's or Burger King. It doesn't have to be food either. There are a lot of franchises out there that are not food-based, but we understand what they are. There are certain things that as an individual franchisee that you can do. You can probably pick your location, although most franchisors help you or point out or pick give you a number of locations that they feel will work for your business. Because, hey, they have a vested interest in you becoming successful, do they not? So they're not going to give you a bad location. So you have a choice of where the location is. Sure, just pretty much just like the NFL teams. They to a certain degree they have a choice of where they can have their teams. Now the NFL itself is saying, well, we want you to be in these markets because they'll support you. More likely than not support you and make you and the NFL a whole hell of a lot of money. So they have a model. A franchisor has a success model. And in many cases, they dictate to you much of that success model that you have to follow as a franchisee. Now, for instance, McDonald's and Burger King and Domino's, you cannot invent something and put it on your menu without getting approval from the franchisor. I mean, for instance, you're a Domino's, you're a pizza joint. Well, you can't decide for yourself that you're just going to add, like tacos. They're not going to let you do it. They're going to tell you if you want to do it, well, you're in violation of the franchise agreement. And you could lose your franchise. Now, you may not lose your business, but you'll lose your franchise. In other words, you won't be able to be a branded Domino's restaurant if you lose your franchise. That means you lose a lot of the name recognition and support. Well, the NFL is a little bit different. Yes, a franchise owner, let's just pick, like, say, the Redskins. The owner could lose the franchise. Now, he doesn't necessarily lose his business, although if he can't play against other teams, he's going to lose the business. But they can't just do anything that they want. And so you have all these players who are, in effect, employees of the franchisee who must follow the rules and regulations of the franchisor, or the NFL. So if the NFL decided one day, which they should, and say that, no, these players cannot make the NFL look bad by sitting or kneeling during the national anthem. And you need to do something about it if they don't stand and respect the anthem and the flag in this country at the beginning of every game. Because you're an employee, once you enter that field, there are certain things that you must, just like any other employee, there are certain things that you must abide by when it comes to the company rules and regulations. And if you cannot abide by them, well, you cannot work there. This is the same thing for these NFL players. And quite frankly, a number of Americans are getting sick and tired of this fake, phony, ridiculous, illogical, rude, because you know what they're doing is they're shaming and condemning the very people who support them. Now, yeah, these guys are getting millions of dollars a year, but hey, without the fans buying the tickets and the products and services offered by the teams and the NFL, there's no money for them to be paid these ridiculous salaries. Why would you insult your fans? I'll never forget the time. There have been a number of times, and this happens to so-called entertainment stars too. How many times have we had entertainment stars who have said something or done something on stage, music stars on stage or actors behind the scenes or what have you. They say something very disparaging about their fans. What do a lot of the fans do? A lot of the fans stop buying their tickets in their products, don't they? Yeah, it happens a lot. Well, this is what's happening with the NFL, and you got Roger Goodell. I don't know who else is all involved in this over at the NFL, but he's the head honcho of the NFL. Why aren't they doing something about it? These players are costing them money. Are they that scared of the left? The left wants to do away with football. Make no mistake about it. The left is now on the march to get rid of football as we know it. I would not be surprised that in 20 years' time, the NFL becomes a flag football league. Why? Well, because all the players are coming up with these brain injuries and physical injuries later in their lives, and many of them either in their lives or have their lives cut short by football related injuries. Not to mention because so many players in the NFL and in other sports, professional sports, are made up of minorities, especially black people. So the NFL is racist because they're taking a bunch of black people, putting them on the field to destroy them and kill them early. Let's face it, while a bunch of white people sit in the stands and cheer them on. And isn't that the way? I mean, think of sports in man's history, like the Colosseums. You had a bunch of slaves and ne'er-do-wells and less than citizens down there on the playing field, if you will, cutting and maiming and killing each other, while all the wonderful citizens, the white people, sat in the stands and cheered them on. And now these people want to, what? Destroy that whole system? They don't even know what they're kneeling for. They don't know what they're sitting down for. I guarantee you that 99.9% of those players do not know what the third stanza of the national anthem actually says. They've probably never heard it, definitely never read it. So from my perspective, I'm sick of seeing this. I am tired of supporting a bunch of pampered leftists. Hypocritical leftists. Oh, the United States is terrible. Well, the United States is just allowed you to become a millionaire. And this is what you're going... How about you give the money back then? So, frankly, this past opening weekend, you have all these NFL players, more Star-Spangled Banner protests. I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of seeing it. I'm not going to support it. As much as I love to watch the Pittsburgh Steelers play, as much as I'm actually rooting for Tom Brady to have another successful season just because, people dislike him so much because he's so damn good, I'm not going to be following the NFL this year. I'm not the only one. There are a lot of diehard NFL fans that have had enough of this. Because they're not protesting the Star-Spangled Banner. They're protesting America. They're no better now than Antifa, than Occupy Wall Street, than Black Lives Matter, or any of those other alt-left groups. They're no better than them. And I, for one, along with a growing number of Americans, frankly, are tired of it. And just as I am not going to go to the movies and spend my hard-earned dollars on a bunch of mamby-pamby, wimpy, leftist actors, overpaid actors on that screen, I'm not going to support the NFL either until they do something about this. Roger Goodell and the NFL franchisor organization, are you listening? Because your fans are speaking.
Yes, love hurts. It can hurt emotionally, but more important, it can also hurt you physically. It can hurt you in a way which nobody who owns a hot tub and lives in California can afford to be unaware of. Yes, I'm talking about California hot tub rectal gonorrhea. This painful, incurable disease can make an enjoyable soak in a hot tub with family, friends, and dog into a literally unforgettable experience. If you catch California hot tub rectal gonorrhea, not only will you walk around feeling like you're about to pass a twisted sardine can lid, you'll also smell like a pile of burning tractor tires. So don't jump out of the frying pan and into the hot tub, because if you get California hot tub rectal gonorrhea, it'll really burn your ass.
This has been a public service message brought to you by the Citizens Against CHTRG Foundation. California hot tub rectal gonorrhea. We're not going to take it sitting down.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Zero 835-3226. It is now time for today's holidays. Yes, the holidays that we are celebrating in one form or another today for September 11. And today we have National Make Your Bed Day. Now, most of you probably, under the sound of my voice, are probably already out of the house and nowhere near your bed. But when you get home, make sure you make your bed, because today is National Make Your Bed Day. It is also I Want to Start My Own Business Day. Even if you're looking at a franchise, today is a day that you want to celebrate starting your own business. For those of you who are at work working for somebody else today, it is I'm on top of it day. So you got to have write down your schedule every day, what you're going to do, what you want to accomplish, and you're on top of it. So today is National I'm on top of it day. That's got to be one of the dumbest holidays I've come across so far. But yeah, it's I'm on top of it day. Today is also Libraries Remember Day. I didn't know libraries are able to forget anything, because books are, it's where history is. It's where written history is collected. So I don't know why you would think that libraries would ever forget, but it is a Libraries Remember Day. It is also National Hot Cross Bun Day. Yes, the delectable sweet bun, usually with icing on top of it and raisins and cinnamon and stuff in it. I guess I haven't had a hot cross bun in a long time, but today's a day to have one, because it's National Hot Cross Bun Day. It's also National Boss Employee Exchange Day. I guess that means today's the day that, if you're an employee, you get to be the boss, and the boss gets to be the employee. I don't know. I don't know how you celebrate that. Today is also National Day of Service and Remembrance. It's the Service and Remembrance Day is the largest annual day of charitable service. So get out there and work with your charities today. It is also National Emergency Responders Day. And this came about, of course, because of 9/11, 2001. Today is also Remember Freedom Day. And it is also Patriot Day, not to be confused with Patriots Day in April in Massachusetts. But today is National Patriot Day. And this was set in place by George H.W. Bush, actually. But it is something that really took place after 9/11, 2001 by George W. Bush, really cementing and naming this day as Patriot Day. It goes along with Remember Freedom Day. It's also National No News is Good News Day. Yeah, and it is Women's Baseball Day. It commemorates the day in 1875 when the first women's baseball game took place. The first, well, back in the during the Great Second World War, ladies took to the field for our national pastime because many of the players were off at war. professional baseball league players were off fighting war, so women took to the field to keep our national pastime alive. So it is National Women's Baseball Day, commemorating the first all-female baseball games in 1875. So there you have it. The holidays for September 11th, and all of these holidays are annual events, by the way, just saying, including Make Your Bed Day, because, if you make your bed, then you got to sleep in it too. Boy, that has some, that rings true of just about everything, doesn't it?
You might be surprised to learn who has Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. Nearly 1 in 200 Americans are suffering with the debilitating pain and constant disruption of these inflammatory bowel diseases, or IBD. Chances are you know someone with IBD. For example, your neighbor or coworker. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation was created to help patients cope and to find a cure. People with IBD can't wait. Won't you help someone you know? Visit www.escapethestall.com today.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C, but most people don't know they are infected. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you can still have hepatitis C, a serious liver disease that often has no symptoms. In fact, people can live with hepatitis C for decades without feeling or looking sick. But over time, hepatitis C can cause serious health problems, including liver damage, liver failure, or even liver cancer. Getting tested is the only way to know if you're infected with hepatitis C. That's why the CDC recommends everyone born from 1945 to 1965 get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments are available that can cure this disease. So talk to your doctor about getting tested. It could save your life. A message from the CDC.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? Shifting to a system based on primary care can help fix the problem. Patients with a primary care doctor live longer, healthier lives and are less likely to suffer from cancer, heart disease, or stroke. Primary care that is comprehensive and coordinated also saves money. Patients who have a primary care doctor spend 30% less on health care than patients who don't. States with a high number of primary care doctors have lower health care costs and higher quality care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
The Amazon's rainforest is being cut down so fast that by 2030, 55% of it could be completely wiped out. The Earth's forests can't speak up when they need help, but we can. Be the voice for those who have no voice. Visit worldwildlife.org.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, it can lead to arthritis, facial paralysis, and even memory and concentration problems, often called brain fog. As the threat of Lyme disease grows to more than 300,000 projected cases each year, it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside, even in your own backyard. It means seeing a doctor if you experience the symptoms of Lyme disease, which can include joint pain, flu-like symptoms, fever, fatigue, or sometimes a bullseye-shaped rash. Set your sights on stopping Lyme. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org.
Dad, we need to talk.
Can we just enjoy the drive?
If you're not going to listen to me, who will we listen to?
Jeffrey. Marcia Gay Harden, what?
Eyes on the road, Dad.
What are you doing? What are you doing in my back seat? How did you get in here?
You're getting older.
Not that old.
Your brain's changing. It's natural.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Honey, I've got experience with this. Jeffrey, brain health is all about making the most of your brain as you age and helping to reduce some of the risks to your brain.
Really? Now that's interesting.
So, you'll talk to her about this, but not me. Marcia Gay Harden? Where did she go?
Learn what you can do to help keep your brain healthy at brainhealth.gov. She didn't say goodbye. I mean, I would have. Visit brainhealth.gov.
What is your party affiliation? Now, I'm being serious here, and I want you to be to think about this and to be as accurate and pointed as possible. Now, for example, myself, I am a constitutional conservative. Yeah, I'm not asking what party you registered with. What do you think your politics party affiliation or party politics is? Mine is constitutional conservatism. That's what. Now, there is no national party called constitutional conservatives. I know that there's the American Party, there's a Constitution Party, all these third parties out there. I get it. But honestly, I'm a registered Republican, but I'm a constitutional conservative. Now, we have a lot of people on both sides of the political aisle, in the Republican Party and Democrat Party, that don't fully identify with the major party platform. Now, I'm one of those. Because I don't believe in Mitch McConnell, and I don't believe in Paul Ryan. I don't believe that they're constitutional conservatives. I believe that they're wimpy, mamby-pamby, pastel Republicans. They're moderates. Now, we don't have a moderate party, but we have moderate members within the party. The same with the Democrats. The Democrats have they have the extreme left, they have the socialists, and they have the communists within the Democrat Party. And then you have what we call, laughingly sometimes, is conservative Democrats or Reagan Democrats. There are not many of those left. The Reagan Democrats are much like the John F. Kennedy Democrats. And I've mentioned that before, that the John F. Kennedy Democrats, they would be called moderates today. GOP moderates. Really? I mean, that's how the politics of this country has swung to the left. This used to be a very right-leaning country, even on the Democrat side. Now, they always have had their factions that were overly liberal. They even had a couple of presidents that were, very socialist-loving or communist-loving, like Woodrow Wilson and Franklin Delano Roosevelt. They had their ultra-left-leaning people back in the day. But the party as a whole was more central, what we would call moderates today. So technically speaking, I think you could say that people like Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham and John McCain, the moderates, are the old Kennedy Democrats. Really, they technically speaking, if you think about and follow how they've governed and how they've voted, their voting history, that pretty much puts them there. They're old Democrats. And let's face it, we've got a number of Democrats that have switched over to Republicans because the Democrats have just gone too far to the left. And so now they identify and populate the moderate wing of the Republican Party. And we've had a number of those moderates over the years. It's nothing new. But I bring this up because people are they're still trying to pigeonhole Donald Trump as to what party does he really belong to. He's doing deals with Democrats, and he's tried to get the Republicans to do things that he wanted because he knew the Democrats wouldn't do a lot of the things that he wanted to do. But now he's made a deal with the Democrats to do one thing that he wants to do, and the Republicans are up in arms. And you still have Democrats who hate Donald Trump. The reason is, and we know this to be true, that neither party really likes Trump. Why? Well, because he's an outsider. But it's not just because he's an outsider, not just because he didn't pay his dues. I mean, that's just a bunch of BS because neither did Obama. But the left obviously embraced him. The Democrats embraced Obama. For a couple one of the reasons why is because he was black. But the question always has been, the question that hasn't been asked and answered is, would they have supported Obama if he were white? Well, this current crop of Democrats would have. Because let's face it, they supported Bernie Sanders. Now, Bernie Sanders is nothing more than an old white Barack Obama. Think about that for a second. Bernie Sanders is Barack Obama if he were like 25 years older and white. There isn't much difference between those two men. Outside of their skin color, there's not much difference at all between the two of them. So would the left have supported a Barack Obama if he were not black? Yes, because they supported Bernie Sanders. So you could say that there's no difference. And therefore, because Barack Obama didn't have any political chops, so to speak, he didn't pay his dues, the whole notion of Donald Trump not paying his political dues by having, so Obama had been elected to a lesser office before, and Trump did not. But it doesn't make Trump a political neophyte by any stretch of the imagination. And the New York Times has a piece here talking just about that, how Donald Trump is upending 150 years of basic two-party rule. That's why both parties don't like him, because he doesn't stand pat with one party or the other. And frankly, even though I'm a registered Republican, neither do I. Neither do a lot of Americans, especially those who support Trump. We really don't care about party. We care about country. We care about the Constitution. And this is one of the things that the GOP just doesn't seem to want to understand. It's not about party first. I mean, how many times you've actually heard this from both parties where, party first. No, it's not party first. It's country first. And Donald Trump has been brazen enough to say it's country first. He's not an ideologue that is stuck to one party or the other like everybody else in D.C. That is why he is so hated by the establishment, because he refuses to pledge allegiance to one party or the other. And now, if we remember correctly, there was another person who did the same thing back in the 90s. He was a registered Republican, but then he ran as an independent and formed a new party called the Reform Party. Anybody remember Ross Perot? Now, a lot of people who are old enough will say, yeah, Ross Perot is the reason why we got Bill Clinton, and that is true. To a certain extent. Ross Perot was tapping into the frustration of the American people of the two parties at that particular point in time. He garnered nearly 20% of the vote. This time around, Ross Perot was Donald Trump. And he won. Now, the reason why Ross Perot had to go as an independent is because he wasn't going to unseat in a primary the sitting President George H.W. Bush. Now, some historians would look back and argue that maybe Ross Perot should have primaried H.W. Bush stronger. That we might have had a President Perot instead of a President Clinton if he did. You know, you can always sit back and, quarterback 2020, hindsight is 2020 type of thing. You fast forward to 2016 and you get Donald Trump, who's nothing more than Ross Perot. Ross Perot was not sitting pat in any particular party, which is why he was able to garner and tap into nearly 20% of the vote. The New York Times points out that Donald Trump has changed his party affiliation at least 5 times over the years. Because he's a man that isn't about party. He's a man about ideas and ideals. And this is something that the Democrats and the Republicans do not understand. Or maybe they do understand. They just fail and refuse to accept it. I will vote for anybody who is close to being a constitutional conservative like myself. And I know a lot of people say, well, that's not Donald Trump. I get it. But Donald Trump's ideas at the time of that he was campaigning and what he's trying to do does stand closer to my constitutional conservative beliefs than any other candidate that was available on the Democrat or Republican side. And a lot of Americans saw exactly the same thing, which is why Donald Trump does not lose his support every time the left jumps up and says, look what Donald Trump did, look what Donald Trump did. Because we don't see things. The average American out here does not see things as a flat right or flat left, i.e. flat Republican, flat Democrat type of thing or issue. Is it a constitutional conservative issue that will lead to more constitutional, smaller government and more freedom for me and my family? That's what we're after. The current crop of GOP leadership doesn't seem to get that. By the way, they don't like it. I have told you people time and time again that the GOP, the current Republican leadership, is not for smaller government. Smaller than what Democrats want, yes, but they still want big government, but they want to be the ones that implement it and are in charge of it. Now, in most areas of our lives, not all areas, but most areas of our lives, Donald Trump wants smaller government and government intervention in our lives. Not everywhere, let's be honest. He is not a perfect candidate. He is not a perfect president in my book. But as I've always said, you vote for the person, not the party, that best represents you, that is available to you, that has a God-given chance of winning. Now, sure, there may be obscure candidates out there. I'm sure there are plenty of obscure candidates out there that were probably more constitutional conservative than Donald Trump. But they had no chance of winning. None. They weren't even on the ticket nationally, so there was no possible way of them winning. I love these people. Well, I'm on the ballot in 5 states. Well, it takes more than 5 states to win the presidency. Even if they won those 5 states, they wouldn't have been president. So let's be honest about it. They had no chance in hell. But Donald Trump represented the closest to what many Americans believe should be in the White House. And therefore, when Donald Trump gets in the White House and he's trying to do all this stuff, he's upsetting both sides of the political arena because he doesn't toss in with either side. His history has shown that he's been a Democrat, he's been a Reform Party member, he's been a Republican, he's been an independent. There are a lot of Americans like myself. There have been times when I was an independent. I was a registered Republican. I was a registered independent. I was a Republican. A lot of Americans are like that because they're not dedicated to a party. They're dedicated to the Constitution and their country. There's a big difference. And I think President Trump has shown that he is still, even though he's a registered Republican, he's not liked or loved by the general, the establishment in the Republican Party, but that he still has that mentality that he will do what is necessary to make the deal to get his agenda passed, because that is what the American people voted for him to do. On his agenda. We liked his agenda. We want his agenda. And Trump is not a party man. He's an ideal man. And this is something that neither party just seems to get.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
Antifa, or Antifa, tomato, is upping their game a little bit. They have what they call now, according to a piece in Hot Air, of of a rapid response team that targets alt-right organizers. So that means that the Antifa is ready to invade even your home. And I'm thinking, oh, go ahead. Invade my home and see what happens. Now, of course, he'll say, well, you can't stop all of us. Rod, you can't stop all of Antifa. No. I don't need to stop all of you. I just need to stop you. That's all that counts. Even if my gun has only got 6 rounds or 8 rounds or 10 rounds or 15 rounds, all I need to do is just put a bullet to a person. And I'm not advocating violence, but if you threaten me and my family, well, then what am I supposed to do about it? Am I supposed to let you come in and destroy my house and my property and beat us up and probably kill us? No, I'm not going to let that happen. And someone once said, I don't need to stop everybody. I just need to stop you. That's all that matters. So they're out there actually contemplating home invasions. Now, come on, that's not a gang, people. That's a terrorist organization. They are plotting to actually home invade people that they disagree with politically. That's a terrorist organization. Plain and simple. And Max Baucus out there, speaking of terrorists, Max Baucus out there is now on the record as endorsed. Now, Max Baucus is credited with being the main author of Obamacare. And now he's come out and said, yeah, I'm for single payer. Well, he's always been for single payer. When are people going to figure this out? Barney Frank, remember him? Barney Frank is on record saying, yeah, single payer is our goal, but we're not going to be able to convince the American people to have it at first, so we've got to do it this way to get them softened up. He said it, folks. Soften up and used to the idea of single payer. Now we're getting leftists after leftists coming out and endorsing the single payer. They've always endorsed that. They just knew that you wouldn't accept it. And most people still won't accept single payer, but they now feel that they're ready for single payer because Obamacare, as they designed it, is doing exactly what they designed it to do, fail. So now they think that you're ready for single payer. Just the whole process that these people are going through. Yeah, they're not stopping anytime soon. And finally today, here's a story that really shook me. Is your 4th grader ready for puberty? The wonder years. Yeah, 4, 5, and 6, there are books now, textbooks basically, for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. That is now part of the that they want to be part of the sex education classes that your 4th, 5th, and 6th grader will be taking. And of course, puberty. Getting ready for puberty, experiencing puberty, as well as your sexuality. Now, remember, I have a friend who's a teacher who's got a 5th grader who's a transgender. What do you think that they're going to be teaching in this stuff? There are sex education lessons that are set to be tested for students as young as 4th grade in some Los Angeles Unified Schools. Yes, indeed. Los Angeles schools are going to now have this kind of education. You can't make this stuff up. They're going after your kids, and you're leaving your kids in these public schools, these public indoctrination centers that we call public schools. You need to get your kid out before they're completely and totally and utterly destroyed. They want to recreate, even worse, the next millennial generation. Should shudder. Should make you shudder. In any case, we'll be back here tomorrow. We're expecting Joe Concannon here. Hopefully he'll be able to make it. Until then, have a wonderful Monday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Rod Eccles. I'm out.
Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A shameless politician always plays her cards right. Got a crew for the fight on the airwaves. Lapdogs in the press keep their mouths tight. Cause a Clinton never needs to explain what, why it is what they done or with who. A real Clinton knows that they're entitled, and you don't get to know what they do.
What difference does it make?
For a Clinton, what's loaded in some fat Apple file? A Clinton plays the victim for promotion. A Clinton kills it off with a smile. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A server full of secrets ain't no thing. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Nothing ever hits with the sting.